I almost walked past a crying stranger and missed the moment that changed my life. I was already late, already irritated, already stuck inside my own head when I noticed her sitting on the concrete steps outside the train station. She wasn't asking for money. She wasn't making noise. She wasn't even really crying anymore. Just sitting there, shoulders folded inward, face hidden in her hands like the world had finally pressed down too hard. I noticed her, and I kept walking. That's the part I don't like admitting. My first instinct wasn't kindness. It was avoidance. I told myself all the familiar lies. Someone else will help. I don't have time. I don't want to get involved. I walked past her, blending into the crowd, letting the noise of the station swallow the moment. I took maybe 10 steps where something inside me tightened. Not guilt exactly. More like resistance. Like my body had stopped before my mind could justify it. So I turned around. She hadn't moved. Still small, still folded, still alone. Hey, I said quietly, unsure if I was interrupting or intruding. Are you okay? She flinched when she looked up, eyes red and unfocused. The first thing she said wasn't an answer. I'm sorry, she blurted out. I didn't mean to make anyone uncomfortable. That sentence landed harder than tears would have. I sat down beside her, not too close, not too far, letting the space between us stay hers. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. The trains came and went. People rushed past us like we weren't there. Finally, she inhaled shakily and said her name was Hannah. She told me she just failed an important exam. Again, the kind of exam that feels like it defines your entire future. She said her parents believed in her too much, that everyone expected her to succeed, that she didn't know how to go home and admit she failed for the second time. I feel stupid, she whispered. Like I wasted years of my life on something I'm clearly not good enough for. I didn't interrupt. I didn't correct her. I didn't rush to comfort her with empty reassurance. I let her talk. I let the silence breathe when her voice cracked. Then, without planning to, I told her about my own failure. About the job I lost years ago. About how convinced I was that it proved I wasn't cut out for anything meaningful. About how I avoided friends because I didn't want to answer questions. About how I smiled through conversations while quietly believing I'd ruined my own future. She looked at me differently then. Really looked. You? She asked softly. But you seem fine. I almost laughed. That's the trick, I said. Most people who look fine are standing on top of something they barely survived. Her shoulders dropped a little, like she'd been holding them up for days. She laughed once, a small, surprised sound, and wiped her face with the sleeve of her jacket. We stayed there far longer than I meant to. Missed trains, missed schedules, but something about sitting there felt more important than being on time anywhere else. Before she left, she hugged me, quick, tight, like she needed to anchor the moment before it slipped away. Thank you for stopping, she said. You didn't have to. She was right. I didn't, and that's exactly why it mattered. I thought that was the end of it. 3 months later, a message popped up on my phone from a name I didn't immediately recognize. Then it clicked. Anna. She wrote that she'd passed the exam on her 3rd try, that the day we talked was the day she decided not to quit. Not because I fixed anything, but because I didn't make her feel broken for failing. I stop when I see people now, she wrote, even when it's uncomfortable. Especially then. I stared at that message for a long time. We like to believe life changes through big decisions, through bravery, through perfect timing. But sometimes it changes because you sit down on cold concrete beside a stranger and choose presence over convenience. I still think about how close I was to walking past her, how close I was to missing it. Now when something inside me says keep walking, I slow down. I pay attention. I stay a little longer, because one small, uncomfortable act of kindness didn't just help her. It quietly reshaped the kind of person I want to be. And that feels like a pretty powerful ending to an otherwise ordinary day.